Hey everyone, welcome to The Event Hub, where every event turns into an unforgettable experience. California is home to the absolute largest Filipino diaspora in the entire United States of America. The Filipino-American community in this massive state is colossal. They are highly organized, they are fiercely, incredibly passionate about their sports, and they have been holding their breath, waiting for a historic moment exactly like this one for generations. A player who proudly wears the flag of the Philippines, actively competing and dominating at the absolute highest, most terrifying levels of international tennis right in their own backyard. And she is not just showing up to politely compete. She is winning. She is breaking historic records. She is being openly called the single biggest draw in the entire sport by former top 10 professionals. She is having her portrait proudly hung in the hallowed halls of the Nike World Headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon, with a heavy, powerful caption that simply reads, "History in full bloom." That incredibly rare, lightning-in-a-bottle combination of supreme sporting success and deep cultural significance has triggered an atomic response from the Filipino community in California. It is a tsunami of support that the Indian Wells Tennis Garden has simply never encountered in its rich decades-long history. Devoted fan clubs stretching from the sprawling streets of Los Angeles down to San Diego and all the way up to Daly City are aggressively organizing massive group bookings. Entire massive sections of the stadium bleachers are being fully reserved by community groups who have one single unified goal to create the exact same deafening wall of sound that turned Dubai into a massive Filipino celebration. A wall of sound so intimidating, so powerful, that it actually forced American superstar Hey everyone! Welcome to the Event Hub, where every event turns into an unforgettable experience. Listen to me very closely and brace yourself for what is about to happen, because the sun-drenched desert of California has absolutely no idea what is about to hit it. We are just days away from the opening serves at the Indian Wells Tennis Garden, and a massive, unstoppable shockwave is currently tearing through the West Coast. The Filipino community is mobilizing in staggering, overwhelming numbers that this historic tournament has simply never seen before. Tickets are vanishing into thin air. Entire sections of the massive stadium are being bought out and aggressively booked in massive groups, violently climbing from number 137 all the way to 31 in roughly 12 short months. She did it through a series of jaw-dropping results that forced the entire tennis establishment to stop, turn around, and pay very close attention to the breathtaking run to the Miami Open semifinals. The absolute masterclass in the Dubai quarterfinals, where she dismantled the world number 8 Jasmine Paolini with a ruthless 6,176 scoreline, the brilliant Auckland semifinals, the Abu Dhabi quarterfinals, a legendary gold medal at the Southeast Asian Games, the triumphant Australian Open main draw debut. She earned her sacred spot at Indian Wells the absolute hardest way possible, the only way that actually means a damn thing in this cutthroat sport. And the tournament organizers have been nervously watching the ticket sales, the hospitality bookings, and the VIP reservations explode ever since her entry was officially confirmed. What they are seeing in their data has apparently left them genuinely, fundamentally shocked. You have to understand the geography of this moment. California is home to the absolute largest Filipino diaspora in the entire United States of America. The Filipino-American community in this massive state is colossal. They are highly organized, they are fiercely, incredibly passionate about their sports, and they have been holding their breath, waiting for a historic moment exactly like a player who proudly wears the flag of the Philippines, actively competing and dominating at the absolute highest, most terrifying levels of international tennis, right in their own backyard. And she is not just showing up to politely compete. She is winning. She is breaking historic records. She is being openly called the single biggest draw in the entire sport by former top 10 professionals. She is having her portrait proudly hung in the hallowed halls of the Nike World Headquarters in Beaverton, Oregon, with a heavy, powerful caption that simply reads, "History in full bloom." That incredibly rare lightning-in-a-bottle combination of supreme sporting success and deep cultural significance has triggered an atomic response from the Filipino community in California. It is a tsunami of support that the Indian Wells Tennis Garden has simply never encountered in its rich, decades-long history. Devoted fan clubs stretching from the sprawling streets of Los Angeles down to San Diego and all the way up to Daly City are aggressively organizing massive group bookings. Entire massive sections of the stadium bleachers are being fully reserved by community groups who have one single unified goal: to create the exact same deafening wall of sound that turned Dubai into a massive Filipino celebration. A wall of sound so intimidating, so powerful, that it actually forced American superstar Coco Gaulle to stop, look up into the stands, and publicly acknowledge the terrifying power of the crowd after her quarterfinal battle with Eala. The secondary ticket market for the specific sessions when Alex Eala is mathematically expected to play has already completely caught fire. Prices are surging wildly above face value. Some basic seats are reportedly going for double, even triple their original cost just so fans can be in the exact same zip code as her. This is the brutal, undeniable economic reality of the Alex Eala effect finally arriving on American soil. And it is catching the tournament's commercial executives completely off guard because absolutely nothing in their decades of historical data, nothing in their algorithms prepared them for a player ranked 30th in the world, generating this insane, unprecedented level of rapid market demand. For heavy context, Indian Wells is universally called the fifth Grand Slam, and that title is fiercely earned. The prize pool for 2026 exceeds a staggering $9 million. The playing field includes absolutely every major terrifying name in women's tennis. Aryna Sabalenka, the current world number 1 and a ruthless multiple Grand Slam champion. Tech, a generational talent who has spent years dominating the pinnacle of the sport. Mara Andrea, the lethal defending champion. The official entry list reads like an absolute who's who of the sport's current elite royalty. These are legendary players who have spent years building the reputations, the brands, and the results that command premium television ratings and prime court assignments at a tournament of this massive stature. And right there, sitting dead in the middle of that terrifying list of giants, is Alex Eala, world number 31. A 20-year-old phenom who is actively generating more raw ticket interest and more pure emotional investment from a single demographic than all the established legendary names on paper are generating from the general tennis audience. That is not a small casual statement. That is a complete violent inversion of the normal commercial logic of professional tennis. And it is happening right now in real time right in front of our eyes. But the incredible journey to this desert showdown went through Beaverton, Oregon, first before heading down to the heat of California. Eala made a highly strategic stop at the Nike World headquarters. And the royal reception she received inside those walls set the ultimate tone for everything that is about to explode at Indian Wells. Her portraits were proudly displayed in the famous, heavily guarded Nike tunnel, right alongside the greatest, most immortal athletes the billion-dollar brand has ever represented. One massive portrait captured her iconic emotional expression immediately after reaching the Miami Open semifinals. Both hands pressed against her face, tears streaming down her cheeks. The raw, unfiltered emotion of a warrior who had just done something that exceeded even her own wildest expectations. The caption, "History in Full Bloom," was chosen deliberately because a global titan like Nike does not caption things carelessly. They know exactly what they are looking at. Also displayed in that hallowed tunnel was a photograph of Ali taking a smiling selfie with a massive crowd of Filipino fans. That specific image tells you absolutely everything you need to know about what Nike understands regarding why this partnership works so brilliantly. They are not just investing millions of dollars in a talented athlete. They are investing in an entire global community that physically shows up for her in the thousands everywhere she goes on Earth. Putting that specific fan photo on the wall at their global headquarters is a massive corporate statement. It is Nike telling the world that the Alex Eala story is infinitely bigger than individual athletic achievement. It is a moving, breathing cultural movement with a fan base that travels across oceans and fundamentally transforms the commercial reality of every single tournament she enters. And the specific timing of the Oregon visit was highly intentional. Eala arrived early in the United States specifically to give herself crucial extra preparation time for the brutal conditions waiting for her at Indian Wells. The California desert creates a very specific, highly unforgiving playing environment. The air is bone dry. The altitude dramatically affects the flight of the tennis ball. Gritty courts play entirely differently than the smooth surfaces she encountered during the Middle East and Oceania swings earlier this year. getting to the United States before most of the European players have even packed their bags, getting perfectly acclimatized to the time zone, getting deeply familiar with the aggressive surface conditions. These are the microscopic, razor-thin margins that actually matter at a massive tournament where every single player in the draw is operating at an elite, lethal level. Do not forget the Rafa Nadal Academy gave her 7 grueling years of elite training in a harsh environment built on meticulous, obsessive preparation and a relentless punishing work ethic. That unbreakable foundation shows in exactly how she approaches each and every campaign. She is not someone who casually shows up the day before a match, unpacks her bags, and just hopes for the best. She is a tactician. She plans ahead. She prepares for highly specific atmospheric conditions, and this early arrival in the United States, seamlessly combined with the psychological boost of the Nike headquarters visit, represents exactly that kind of ruthless, intentional preparation. And the sheer preparation and the sheer mathematical significance of entering Indian Wells with the top 30 ranking rather than fighting through the brutal trenches of qualifying cannot possibly be overstated for her long-term tournament survival. Players who are forced to go through the qualifying rounds arrive to the main draw already battered and bruised. Having already played multiple high-stress, high-pressure matches, they are carrying heavy physical fatigue. They have already burned through physical and emotional energy that the direct entry players have safely conserved. Last year in Miami, Aya came through the absolute bloodbath of qualifying and miraculously reached the semifinals, which is an extraordinary, almost impossible achievement. But it also meant that she played significantly more total matches under vastly more cumulative physical pressure than any of the elite players she defeated along the way. This year at Indian Wells, the script is flipped. She arrives incredibly fresh. She arrives deeply rested. She arrives after 2 full weeks of physical recovery following her deep run in Dubai. And she arrives having visited the Nike headquarters, which injected her with a pure psychological rocket fuel that no amount of endless practice court time can ever replicate. Seeing your own face blown up on the wall at the most famous, powerful athletic brand headquarters in the entire world, right alongside legendary athletes whose names literally define what greatness means in the dictionary, that tells you something about your own destiny that physical training alone can never communicate. Make no mistake, the opposition waiting for her in the desert is absolutely formidable. The top seeds at Indian Wells represent some of the most accomplished, terrifying players in the entire history of the women's game. Aryna Sabalenka at world number 1 has been a dominant, unstoppable force of nature for years. Iga has held the crown for extended historic periods and remains the most complete, terrifying tactician on the tour. Mara Andrea is hungry to defend her championship crown at this very event. Any single one of them on their best day is capable of absolutely destroying anyone else in the field. But listen to me. The hushed conversation echoing around the locker rooms about Alexandra Eala at Indian Wells is not really about whether she can step up and beat the world number 1 in straight sets in her very first match. The executives of tennis in the United States have been desperately working for years, spending millions of dollars on marketing, trying to attract more diverse audiences and reach minority communities that have historically not engaged heavily with the country club sport of tennis. Alexandra Eala single-handedly accomplished that impossible goal in a single season, without a multi-million-dollar marketing campaign, without a coordinated corporate outreach strategy, and without doing absolutely anything other than winning brutal tennis matches and carrying herself with the exact kind of quiet dignity, fierce loyalty, and lethal competitiveness that makes an entire nation of people incredibly proud to associate themselves with her incredible story. The ticket prices, currently skyrocketing on the secondary market, represent massive real-world dollars flowing directly into the Indian Wells economic ecosystem, coming from a demographic that was simply not previously generating that kind of financial activity at professional tennis events. The food vendors, the merchandise operations, the luxury hospitality suites, the massive parking structures.